Man United of old is dead. This will not get better until you get rid of the fraud.
Context of the game. Behave yourself.
Lee Carsley should have been like, right, Solanke out, Welbeck in.
That's the history under Tottenham. You look at Romero, you look at, Son, or Maddison, who's been in the Prem long term. These players shirk responsibility, especially Maddison, mate. He goes missing for fun. Wolves, no wins so far this season. We have been on record multiple times to say we are fans of Gary O'Neill.
I am still a fan. You're not securing those results. You're not going to win games when you're conceding 2 or 3 goals a game.
If you enjoy this Man United downfall, you must be sick. And I'm a sick guy.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to BoreDraw. It's the 111, big episode 111, and we're back. It was a bang of a Premier League weekend. The international break is upon us, so we're going to make the most of this weekend's football before we get drawn to stinky international. I'm going to kick it off with the dramatic 3-2 result. Brighton overcoming Spurs, being 2-0 down. Is ANGE ball over? They bottled it. We've slated so many teams this season for spilling 2-0 leads. But was this the most...
primarily.
Was this the most sort of...
Embarrassing
one?
Capitulation. Well, no, I think the one in 10 minutes or 8 minutes was the most embarrassing one. But this one's weird because Spurs first half, they got me stressing. They look really good. And I think that must be like the...
That's the issue.
That's the history under Tottenham.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, that must be doing Spurs fans nuts in, that you can look really good. I've watched most of Spurs' games this season. I watched the one against Newcastle. They were the better team, lost. The one against Leicester, they were the better team, drew. Everton, but they beat Everton.
Yeah, but they were good.
Yeah, but this one, better team first half, and again, they lose. So it must be getting on
Arsenal,
Spurs fans nuts.
They were the better team, lost.
Get slapped up by our kids as well. It was nice. But yeah, Spurs, I don't know how you can be a fan and kind of look at this. Well, I don't know, there's two kind of trains of thought, isn't there? You look at this and you think, if you look at the first 45, we're up there with top 4 teams in the league. And then you look at the second half and you're like, relegation team.
I mean, so going into this game, I think a lot of people were predicting a high scoring game. Both these teams play incredibly high press, incredibly high lines. There's going to be goals.
Especially off the back of, goals because, Spurs is high line and Brighton conceding an absolute handful to Cole Palmer. Yeah, it was a recipe for goals.
So, we expected a lot of goals going into this. But I think how the game sort of panned out the first half, Spurs obviously going to half-time, I think was it 2-0 up?
Mm-hmm.
You're thinking there's no fucking way after that first half performance that Brighton even had a sniff. And Spurs should have had that game cleaned out, ready to go. 3 points against a good team. Let's take that home.
Away at Brighton is a good...
Yeah, that's a brilliant result.
Yeah.
And then it's like Jekyll and Hyde. Like, first half, they were so electric. They looked really dangerous. Every time they got forward, it looked like they were going to score. They controlled the game well. They didn't really give Brighton much of an opportunity to get in. And then suddenly, everything they were doing so well at first half just stopped.
Well, I don't know if this is true, but I heard that apparently Ange did like a media bit at half-time. It might have been before the game. They wouldn't do media at half-time.
They wouldn't do media at half-time.
It was before the game then. But I think it was at half-time because they were like, you're 2-0 up. Would you like shut up shop and secure the win? Or would you go out and continue playing? He's like, no, we'll continue to be open. That's how we play. We're here to entertain. Shut up.
Surely that was after the game, no?
No, it might have been before the game.
Yeah, after the game, he was in tears.
But, I just think, shut up. And then I saw this quote tweet of Arteta in the media saying, you've got to have a style of play, but you've also got to play to the game's context.
100%.
You can be open as much as you like, but if you're 2-0 up, stop being so open.
Right. You've got to realise you're not Man City.
If you're on 10 men like against Chelsea last season, and then 9 men, context of the game, behave yourself.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. And then it was just a collapse. One goal went in, and then you thought they're gonna. After that first goal went in,
I should have put bets on.
It was like this is gonna happen.
Yeah,
this is gonna happen. And Brighton, the exact sort of team who will thrive on that. and they capitulated. And I tell you what, yeah, Mitoma was unreal. He was
cooking
unbelievable.
Pedro Porro, yeah.
And also Danny Welbeck.
Oh, so underrated.
Get him back in the England team.
He's like the most present Barclaysman.
100%. But he's so understated in what he does. He's so important to that team. And yeah, you've got like hitters like João Pedro, and you've got Evan Ferguson, who we haven't seen in 25 years.
Jorginho Ruta's decent.
Yeah, Ruta as well. You've got these fairly good strikers. But
that's the thing with Brighton. It's like if you give them the opportunities Spurs gave them, Spurs stop pressing, stop all the passes were loose. The high line just wasn't working. Brighton will kill you because they've got good players.
And yeah, going back to what you were saying, it's all well and good having an identity, but you will not win anything if you cannot adapt. Football is unpredictable. It's going to throw situations at you where you can't practice for them, and you have to overcome these situations. No other situation in the world is worse than dropping a 2-0 lead.
That stinks.
It's ridiculous. When that first goal gets in, the changes need to be made. You need to solidify, and there needs to be a leader on that pitch who instructs the team, calms everyone down, and focuses everyone.
Well, that's the thing. Shout out Ben Bowman. He said after the game that he's not putting this loss on Ange. He's putting it on the players.
100%.
I think there's still some blame for Ange.
Well, yeah.
But I think... So Ben was saying that there's just not enough leaders in this Spurs side. You look at Romero, you look at, Son, or Maddison, who's been in the Prem long term. These players shirk responsibility, especially Maddison, mate. He goes missing for fun. But Son, I wouldn't look to him if we were under the cosh. I wouldn't look to Son to
No. I wouldn't have even looked at Harry Kane, really.
Oh, I don't mind. Yeah, probably not even. But just like Romero, I don't think he's got that about him. But definitely not Son. Definitely, there is actually no leaders in that team.
Yeah, yes, Romero is like a hard man, but he's too erratic to be a leader. And that's what I think. It's like this Spurs team, when they're flowing, they're really dangerous. They've got really good electric players. They play fast, intense football. Teams can't keep up with them. The intensity of their play causes the oppositions to make mistakes. But it's that game management. It's that game control. It's that ability to make the decisions. Sometimes play that boring football. The passes don't always need to go forward. Yeah. You watch Man City week in, week out. The football is dry for 85% of the game. And there's 15% where it's magic. Or it's simple but effective play.
Yeah.
But for the most part, it's boring. Spurs games aren't boring ever.
They're sick.
They're rarely ever boring.
Headaches.
If you're wondering what to watch on Saturday or Sunday, put the Spurs game on because something will happen. Because they refuse to play boring football, which is fine, and it's all well and good. After coming off the back of having these boring managers, having Mourinho,
it's take that and no trophies,
and
or play pragmatic football and maybe win something.
I just can't see them getting through an entire cup competition.
You don't beat smart teams playing how they play.
No. You
beat stupid teams, but you don't beat smart teams.
Against teams like Arsenal, against maybe not Liverpool, but Man City, they'll get managed out of the game.
Like in Europe, if they come up against like a Bayern or someone like that. Big smart teams
they'll get managed out of the game. Those teams will say, right, compress us, and we're going to just sit back, absorb it, and fucking dominate you on the counter-attack.
Yeah.
And then suddenly you're 2-0 down. I think if this game had been the reverse, where Brighton had gone 2 goals up, they would have won this game. Say initially Brighton had gone 2-0 up in the first half, Brighton wouldn't have dropped those 3 points.
So you're saying Fabian Herzler is a smarter manager than Ange Postecoglou?
I don't know if he's smarter, but he's probably more pragmatic and maybe less stubborn.
Yeah, I think Ange is very stubborn, and that is all well and good. That'll get people on side because, it's like any manager that comes in and has an identity and sticks by it. You kind of rate them for their brazen ability to follow their identity, but that identity needs to be founded in some sort of intelligence, and this is not founded in any intelligence. It's just founded in excitement and good looking.
I've got a little thing for you here. Yeah,
hit me.
I want to you to tell me who's like a leader, more of a leader, position for position out of the Brighton and Spurs team. So you got Verbruggen versus Vicario. I think
neither.
That's neither.
They're both a bit testy.
I was gonna say Porro or Kadioglu. I'd say neither.
Neither.
Romero or Webster.
Probably Romero.
Just.
Yeah.
Dunk or Van de Ven.
Dunk.
Veltman or Doggy. Definitely Veltman.
Yeah, probably Veltman.
Veltman's a shithouse, man. I didn't realise it until this year.
Yeah, you see what he did to Maddison? He's such a melt.
Then you've got like Bentancur, Kulusevski, Madison against like Hinshelwood, Baleba, and Ruta. None of them. You've got Minter and Matoma versus like Werner and Johnson. I mean, Werner, for the experience he has.
Werner is a criminal. He's like an absolute nuisance all game. But he had about 4 one-on-ones this game and just refuses to score.
Yeah.
He's like Adama Traore, but white and not hench.
Did you see Pep like coaching Adama in the game?
Because Adama had like, so we'll get onto that game as well, but Adama had about 5
Adama under Pep would be the scariest player.
Mate, he had so many clear-cut chances, and there was one that he like skinned Kyle Walker for.
Oh.
And I was like, sign me up for that, because Kyle Walker is a fraud.
I was listening to TalkSport, and they were saying like, I reckon in a couple of years we'll have Kyle Walker on here and he'll pinpoint that moment as the moment he was like, I haven't got it anymore.
Yeah.
I mean, but like after the game,
Danny Welbeck, bigger leader than
100%,
probably bigger than most of Spurs players.
After that game, Lee Carsley should have been like, right, Solanke out, Welbeck in. Game's the game. But yeah, I mean, it was a fantastic game to watch as a neutral. But Spurs fans, you've got to be absolutely reeling. There's nothing like... Imagine at half-time. Half-time, it was a party, mate.
I don't know if this is totally correct. I hear things and then I might fill in the blanks in my brain. But I think this is the second worst start to a Spurs Premier League campaign ever.
But in my mind, it's not even been that bad.
Well, I'll hit you. I know this for sure. It's 7 games played. Guess how many points are on?
6 points.
No, 10.
Is it?
Yeah. 6 would be fucking like.
I'm trying to think who they beat now.
So they beat
Everton.
A couple of draws. No, they beat Man United.
Oh, that's it. Yeah, they beat Man United, and I think they beat someone else. No.
Yeah, probably some
dusty team. But yeah, it's rough.
Brentford 3-1.
That's it. Yeah, they beat Brentford.
But yeah, so Spurs 10 points from 7 games. That's not good enough.
Yeah, I mean, they dropped points now against Leicester. They dropped points against Newcastle. Could be better.
It could be.
Could be better. But this is the game you play when you play this crazy football. You're not securing those results. You're not going to win games when you concede 2 or 3 goals a game.
It's facts. Like the whole, when Emery first came to Arsenal and we couldn't defend, and it was like, oh, we'll just outscore the opposition. The novelty wears off. You actually can't do that. That's why the foundations for a winning Premier League team are a defence.
Well, just look at Liverpool. They sit top of the table. They've conceded 2 goals all season.
It's banging.
Admittedly, they haven't probably had the hardest run.
They've had literally the easiest run.
But
they're doing their job.
But I mean, Arsenal conceding against Southampton. Fulham conceding 2. Man City conceding 2 against Fulham.
We conceded 2 against Leicester as well.
Yeah. So like,
mate. You got to tighten up that defence.
And Liverpool are a team who you probably would look at and think like their assets are all going forward.
Oh yeah,
yes, they've got good defenders, but they do concede.
Maybe it's shout out Gravenberch because
he's having a
really good season.
And do you know what? That is such a Liverpool thing to do. Is like take a player who was a bit part player last season, turn him into a world beater.
Right, talking about teams that can't defend. Brentford 5, Wolves 3.
8-goal thriller.
Wolves, no wins so far this season. We have been on record multiple times to say we are fans of Gary O'Neill.
I am still a fan.
What is going on at Wolves?
But yeah, they have 1 point, 9 goals for 21 goals conceded in 9 games. That's over 2 goals a game.
They've got a combination of selling their best players is a problem. Kilman and Neto. And injuries. I know that they've had a couple of injuries in defence. Mosquera's out. I think Totti Gomez is out.
I think, he started this weekend, didn't he?
Who?
Totti.
Oh, did he?
Yeah.
But yeah, when you're playing Craig Dawson at the back, it's long. It's a long day.
Yeah, Craig Dawson, just horrendous. I mean, like...
Who's that back line?
Semedo, Dawson, Totti, and Ryan Ait-Nouri. With Sam Johnson in goal, who's not really had the best start to the season.
I don't know. It's weird. I like Wolves. Some of the passages of play, like the one for the Cunha goal, was really good. Carlos Forbes and Nelson Semedo linking up well. Mateus Cunha I really like. I think he's a handful. But I don't know. Brentford good? Is that like a? They're not good enough to score 5. To be fair, that's a Wolves.
I mean, this Brentford team is just so well drilled, isn't it? And they set up with a back 5.
Yeah, I made some notes.
But I mean, Nathan Collins, Ethan Pinnock. It's such a step up from Totti and Dawson. It's mental.
Got a question here. Is Thomas Frank a better manager than Ange and Ten Hag?
Better than Ten Hag. Maybe not a better resume, but I'd rather have him than Ten Hag.
Yeah, it's weird. He's got the least good resume out of all of them. But I'd probably rather him over all of them.
If I was Man United, I would swap Thomas Frank for Ten Hag right now, any day of the week.
Yeah.
Go back in time and do
the
it.
Man United situation is more dire than the Spurs situation.
The Spurs one is difficult because I don't know. Like sometimes the grass isn't always greener.
It's not.
I mean,
but
Gary O'Neill was
pragmatic.
doing such a good job with Bournemouth.
Yeah.
Now he's gone to Wolves. Had a really good first season, and now they're struggling.
I think Thomas Frank's really good at finding answers to problems though, which is what Ange just seems to be refusing to do. Where I think Thomas Frank, he could go there. He could have done the selling Harry Kane and still making a squad work like he's done with Ivan Toney. He can handle squad building. He can do that. I think he'd be a good appointment for Spurs. I said it at the start of the season. Obviously, they're not going to sack Ange. I think they've invested too much money in Ange.
Yeah, and it's still early doors.
Early doors.
No one's expecting them to compete for the title, and they've still got time to get themselves in a top 4 race. I think that fourth spot is open to about 6 teams.
Anyway, back to Brentford versus Wolves. What's going on there?
Well, I mean, Wolves are just shipping goals. That Donny Larson they got up top. I think he's got a couple goals this season.
His goal on the weekend was actually quite good.
He looks all right. Maybe it's just a slow start. Maybe it's a start hampered by injury. They've got
Wolves
Hwang on the
fans,
bench.
let us know what's going on.
I really like Bellegarde, but he's not even starting.
Because you got a good player. I like João Gomez in midfield. Did he play this weekend?
I don't think so.
But yeah, you've got good players.
Oh yeah, he did. Dropped to 6.3. Lamina, Cunha.
Gave away the pen.
Ryan Ait-Nouri I like. Goncalo Guedes came on. I mean, they've got good players. But
is it Gary?
But like you said, some of their systems of play are really good.
Yeah, no, it's true. And the passage of play works sometimes. But
so I do think if they stick with him, they'll be out of the relegation battle by Christmas.
Wolves fans, let us know.
I think they have a much better squad and they have a much better manager than a lot of the teams in the Premier League.
Right, from a 8-goal thriller to a 0-0 BoreDraw, Aston Villa versus Man United. Is this result the final nail in the coffin for Ten Hag?
No. Well, it should be.
They could sack him.
They should sack him, but this result is only going to sort of bolster his argument because a 0-0 draw away at Villa Park is a good result for Man United.
It is, to be fair, but they stunk out the gaff.
So did Villa, to be fair.
Yeah, that's true.
I mean, Villa obviously a hard-fought win, a 1-0 victory over Bayern midweek, which was a fantastic result. And I think that game took a lot out of them.
Yeah, 100%.
It took a lot out of them. They didn't rest anyone. They played a full-strength team. They were battling to the last.
But to be fair, Man United went to Porto midweek as well. Shut up the bed there.
Stank it up, but then they completely changed their backline.
Yeah, I don't know. It's a weird one.
Bruno had like a whole half off that game anyway.
Yeah, I'm not reading into the Aston Villa half of this game. I think, like you said, I think the Bayern Munich game was their main focus this week. Getting anything out of this with happy days. Man United, for me, after the shit show they put up in the Europa League, they needed to, I don't know.
They need to go out
galvanise
and.
the fans.
But how many weeks in a row? I'm not going to use the word ad nauseum. Every time we talk about Man United, but how many times do we say Man United to go out and put up a fight, put up a performance? You know,
a
make
dominant
a statement.
performance, yeah.
They were never going to do it against Villa. Villa were too good.
It's
But
mad how
makes-
like Villa, even on like an off day, are still like levels above Man United.
I mean, they should have probably won the game. But I mean, Man United sit 14th after 7 games on 8 points. But they've only scored 5 goals this season.
I think it's 1 at home.
Mental. Southampton has scored 4. Who else has scored?
It's so bad. It's
Southampton, Crystal Palace. I mean, Wolves have scored 9 and they're bottom of the table.
Man United fans. How are you coping with this?
The only thing that Man United have got going for them is that they've only shipped 8 this season.
I'm intrigued. Is there any Ten Hag in Dons left? Let me know in the comments down below. I might see if I can find
the
a Ten
biggest
Hag in Dons.
glaring issue is the fact that Johnny Evans won Player of the Match.
Johnny Evans starting
says
centre
it all.
back in 2020, big 2024.
I think Lindelof came on and played right back at some point.
You got Harry Maggs.
Who's now apparently going to be injured for like 3 weeks.
It's just what is
It
happening.
is absolutely absurd. And if you look at how much fucking money they've spent going forward,
You said De Ligt would sort the problems out. You said Ugarte would sort the problems out. These guys, they're on the bench.
mate, it's nuts. This will not get better until you get rid of the fraud in charge. He is a fraud.
So Mark Goldbridge's argument, and I hate Mark Goldbridge, but playing devil's advocate here, he says it's the player. There's like a deep-rooted player problem. You can churn out managers, but these players are so toxic and so bad that they'll make any manager that comes in the scapegoat.
Okay, so what? But like they cleared house like not too long ago.
Yeah, you can't.
They said that about Ronaldo.
it's cheaper to clear managers out than players out.
Well, I guess at least with players you can get money for them. You know, if you get just like you just need to completely this era of United has been so poor. Anyone who's been brought up as being the poster child, the poster boy. You're looking at like Marcus Rashford. You're looking at Bruno Fernandes as well. They need to get gone. You need to absolutely clean house. You keep the likes of Garnacho. You keep the likes of like Amad Diallo.
Get
Kobe
players that
Mainoo.
want to play for Man United, that care about Man United. Get a manager in, I hate the term, that has aura, because Ten Hag has no aura. I know Jose at the time seemed like it was a problem, but he was the right guy. You want a manager.
I mean, everything that he predicted has come true.
Can not only handle the pressure, but has enough aura and ego about him to shift the mentality. And Ten Hag doesn't have that.
He needs some positivity there. I can't imagine listening to Ten Hag and him actually getting me like excited, or like him making me feel like we can fucking do this.
Yeah,
it's. I don't know. The only person in the world of football who can save them is Don Carlo.
Jeez. Something needs to happen. You need either like a manager with big aura like that, or you need
They just need to get
an ex-player that's got a good managerial tactical nous, kind of like an Arteta, kind of like a Xabi Alonso, someone like that. But
interesting you say that.
Michael Carrick,
heavy links.
Is there?
Heavy links.
I haven't seen it. I've only seen
However,
Tuchel and Southgate.
For me, it doesn't. It's not going to do nothing.
Because what that does
Those
is
players
get the fans on
who
side.
are at Man United now do not give a shit. From Andre Onana to Lisandro Martinez to Diego Dallo to Matthias De Ligt to Lenny Euro to fucking anyone there. The only people who will give Michael Carrick a bit of respect, just looking at like Johnny Evans, Harry Maggs, maybe Luke Shaw, and Marcus Rashford's probably too big for him. No one else will give a shit. Kobe Mainoo will, because he's a good lad. But no one else gives a shit.
Yeah, you need
the Man United of old is dead.
Jeez.
It's dead and buried.
The class of '99 is dead.
They are fucked. The whole club needs a restructure from the ground up, and it's what Ineos is doing, which is fine. But there is no way this gets better until they need to cash in on Marcus Rashford. They need to cash in on Bruno Fernandes. They need to try to get the most out of the players they've signed this summer. They need to have a summer where they just fucking do nothing but sell, sell, sell. They suffer through another year. They're not going to get relegated because they're Man United. And then they build and they go again. But it's going to be fucking painful. because they've tried to paper over the cracks for fucking way too long. They set in motion a plan of when Sir Alex left, they brought in David Moyes for a year to study under him, and it didn't work when they brought him in. And since then, they've been papering over cracks with fucking managers like Louis van Gaal and fucking Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, Jose Mourinho. It's fucked.
I'm enjoying it. I'm enjoying it so much. If you enjoy this Man United downfall, you must be sick. And I'm
such a proponent fan of just saying, stick with your manager through the tough times. Stick with your manager. But this manager's been stuck with for fucking decades too long.
He's only been here for
Mate,
4 years.
it's fucking ridiculous.
Right, before we round it up, big dub for Arsenal. We're going to win the league. Right, so, segments. So, what do you want to start with?
Howler of the week.
Okay, what's the Howler of the week?
From a bald fraud to a French fraud in goal for Leeds. Ilian Meslier, congratulations, Howler of the week. They were 2-1 up. Brilliant performance from Leeds against Sunderland, top of the table Sunderland. And then Meslier does this in like the 95th minute.
Do you reckon it's because it's Friday night football and the lights got to him?
But the worst part is, afterwards he was like laughing and smiling. Immediately afterwards he was like crying. And then when they were shaking hands and everything, he's like hugging everyone. He's like, it's all good.
Whoopsie.
Mate, I'd be fucked.
Check it out here.
And Wilson Isidore.
Absolute howler. Absolute stinker.
Stinks.
And then, best of the rest.
What we got?
We have Ollie Tanner's fantastical strike for Cardiff, who sit bottom of the Championship table, against Bristol City.
We love that. Check it out here.
Here's Ruben Colwell. Really nicely done. That's absolutely brilliant for Barry and GL, and it's got in the net.
Absolute corker. Nothing
Bang.
quite like top bins.
No.
Pure Coca-Cola Championship.
Come on. Right. And then my favourite segment, BoreDraw Fives. Right, this week we've got the boys on from the other side of the planet. BoreDraw, we've got connections all over the globe, mate. And this week we've got our boys, UBF, United by Football. Tom and Ads. And they had to predict 5 games.
Hello, and we are UBF all the way from Australia, and we're at Wanderers Football Park, the only team that could give Arsenal a run for their money, Abs.
In your dreams.
Today we've been tasked by BoreDraw to complete their BoreDraw 5s, basically a quick predictions game. Abs, first one. I'm going to take this one. Brentford versus Wolves. I'm thinking 3-1 to the Bees.
Why?
I don't know why, but I see Brian Mbebu first 30 seconds. I don't know why.
I mean, Brentford's done it for the last God knows how many weeks. I think they've broken a record of some sort.
They have, and I think that streak's going to continue.
You know what? They might need to call up Guinness, the Guinness Book of World Records at this point, so we'll see how that goes.
Well, hopefully there's a Guinness World Book of Records for the amount of charges that Man City are going to face with 115. City versus Fulham at the Etihad.
1-1. I think Smith Rowe gets on the score sheet. Man, I really respect the way Fulham have been playing this season. I think Man City without Rodri are a very different team, and for that reason, I think the quality of Fulham will be able to hold them out enough. Smith Rowe on the score sheet, I reckon it will be. Gets an assist, so we'll see how that goes.
The Arsenal men that are coming together. Everton versus Newcastle at Goodison. I'm thinking 2-0 to the Toonami. I think at 2-0, I think Gordon's going to carry on his form, and I think Isak, hopefully for my fantasy, is going to get on the score sheet as well. I think they're just going to overpower Everton in my case. I think Pickford's going to have one shocker, and I think I see 2-0 for me, Abs.
I think the Toffees might be on their way down.
Yeah, as per usual every year. Aston Villa, the mighty Villa, at home versus Manchester United.
You'd be delusional if you thought anything but a 2-0 or a 3-0. Actually, let's go 3-0 to the Villa.
Even with Fernandez's red card being overturned?
Yes, I think the king of Villa Park. Good evening, Mr. Unai Emery. I think tactically they've got him. They've got too good of a team. Duran. Is it Duran?
Duran.
Scoring against Bayern Munich, I think he continues that form into this game. And I think he bags another one.
Oh, my God.
Zezri Konza fit?
I believe so.
Ezri Konsa-Bag's another one there. I think tactically they just got him. King Unai is gonna get him, and that will be the final nail in the coffin of Erik Ten Hag's managerial career at Manchester United.
Big shout, boys! Are you hearing that? That's the final offer in his career. Yes. Now, Brighton versus Tottenham.
You take that one because it's going to be a very biased scoreline if I take it.
Listen, I see a 1-1. I see two very attacking teams. I think Encisa hasn't been starting. I think he comes off the bench and bags one.
Yeah.
I think Brennan Johnson, for some reason, I'm not sure if you've seen the Spurs Twitter account.
Yeah.
But they've basically done a bit of AI work and they've put his face over Ronaldo's.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I don't see that comparison, but I do see him getting on the score sheet.
Look, I think so. I think we're going to officially lodge the 1-1. That's the official one. But my scoreline there will be 5-0 to Brighton. So
he's an Arsenal fan, all right?
Of
Relax.
course. But no, we'll lodge the 1-1. But if 5-0 happens, 5-0 happens.
All the way from Australia, we've got kickoff at night. You got kickoff in the morning. Pleasure to see you all. And we'll be in touch soon. For all the way from Oz, ciao.
The games they had to predict were the 8-goal thriller between Brentford and Wolves. What did they predict?
They predicted a 3-1 for Brentford.
They actually did, and it was 5-3, so that's 1 point.
It's not even a bad prediction, to be fair.
No, it's not.
No, if you predicted 5-3, I would have just handed you the BoreDraw 5 trophy now.
Also, is there any point in continuing? Because Mike's is on 9 points, and that is, literally impossible to catch.
Nah, someone will do it. Someone will
Do you reckon?
Someone would at least match it.
Someone come on and try and beat Mike's, because that score is nuts. Right, and then after the Brentford Wolves game, they had to predict Manchester City versus Fulham. What did they predict?
They predicted a 1-1.
Which, we haven't covered that on the pod, but Man City were stretched a little bit by Fulham. It finished 3-2.
Fulham are good. Marco Silva is one of the most underrated managers in the Premier League.
Yeah, he was going to be... So when I asked, is Thomas Frank better than Ten Hag and Ange? It was actually going to be, was Marco Silva better than...
100%.
Better than both?
Yeah.
So you think he's better than Thomas Frank?
Yes.
Well, you have to, because you...
Yes, I do.
Yeah, that's interesting. I think him and Thomas Frank are good, underrated managers.
Yeah. They're not. There's not much between them, but I do think Marco Silva should got a little bit more pedigree.
Right, so yeah, that was 0 points, because they predicted 1-1 and it finished 3-2. After that, they predicted the Everton versus Newcastle game. What did they predict?
2-0 Newcastle.
It was a 0-0 draw. They
Testing
said,
my knowledge here.
They said Anthony Gordon to carry on his good form and Jordan Pickford to have a bad game. It was literally direct opposite. Jordan Pickford saved an Anthony Gordon pen. Game finished 0-0.
Do you reckon they were watching the game upside down because they're in Australia?
Maybe. Then Aston Villa versus Man United. They predicted
3-0 Aston Villa.
They did. I think they went hard on Aston Villa here.
I mean, before the game, you would have said that's a fair prediction, maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe a little bit over the top, but not after Villa's recent performances. So, yeah, I see where they're going with that, but that game was an absolute stinker. So
0 points. And then finally...
So they're on 1 point going into their
point.
final game.
1 point so far. And the final game was Brighton versus Spurs. They predicted...
1-1.
They did predict 1-1, and it finished 3-2. I guess, a draw. I think I would have predicted a draw in this game. Maybe a 2-2.
A high scoring draw, yeah.
But 3-2, obviously this game was nuts. We talked about it. 0 point again. 1 point. Lads, I am so sorry. You are bottom of the leaderboard.
We might have to have him back on later in the year.
We might
season.
have to, yeah. But it is what it is. Let us know if
fives.
you want to get involved in BoreDraw 5s or who we should get involved in BoreDraw 5s.
And we'll get him on. Or we'll get you on.
We will.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for watching. It's been BoreDraw episode 111. Any last parting words?
Follow us on TikTok. Follow us on Instagram. Follow us on Twitter. I chat shit on all of them.
Yeah, if you fancy getting yourself a little cheeky shirt, go over to Classic Football Shirts and use the link in our description. Use code BoreDraw10 at checkout and save yourself a nice little 10% off at checkout. Save yourself 10%. Spend £100, you get it for 90.
Oh, you know who we didn't talk about that's come into a little cheeky run of form? Oh, shit. Gabriel Martinelli, mate. Signed my shirt. Come on. What a boy. Arsenal going to win the league.
Yeah. You was.